There's a particular kind of fear that doesn't get talked about too often. And it's not the fear of being alone. It's not the fear of being unwanted, although those fears do cut deep. It's the fear of becoming the very thing that you despised once, of turning into the monster that you once swore you'd never be. And for many men who are trapped in cycles of loneliness, of rejection and rage, this fear creeps in slowly. And at first, you just want to be seen. You just want to be chosen, noticed, loved. But when those longings are unmet for too long, the heart begins to harden. And what begins as sadness morphs into bitterness. And what begins as self-protection becomes self-destruction. And without even realizing it, you start to embody the very qualities you once condemned in others. The resentfulness, the cynicism, the disconnectedness, even the cruelty. And this transformation didn't happen all at once. It was a gradual process, almost invisible, until one day you caught a glimpse of yourself in the mirror, perhaps, in your thoughts, in your actions, and you realize that I don't like who I'm becoming. And that's where today's conversation begins. Because while it's terrifying to recognize that drift, it's also the first step in reclaiming yourself. And when we talk about incel culture, the world of the involuntary celibate, anger, alienation, these are some things that are easy to focus on, like the external behaviors, the forums, the outbursts of resentment. But at the very core of this, beneath all of this, is an identity crisis. It's the slow corrosion, if you will, of self-respect. It's the loss of belief that you are capable of connection, of being seen and loved for who you really are. And when that belief dies, a dangerous story takes its place. If I can't be loved, maybe I can be feared. If I can't be chosen, maybe I can be notorious. If I can't belong, maybe I can at least matter through my anger. And this is how monsters are made. Not out of thin air, not out of pure evil, but out of ordinary human pain that's been left too long unattended. Out of the wounds that scab over from not healing. But here's the truth. Noticing the shift is not the end. It's just an invitation. The fear of becoming the monster can actually paralyze you. It can lead you deeper and deeper into resignation, into self-loathing, or it can wake you up. It can become the catalyst, if you will, for reclaiming your integrity, for rebuilding intimacy, and for remembering that no matter how far you've drifted, it's never too late to come back to yourself. See, integrity isn't about never falling. It's about getting honest when you realize that you have fallen. It's about choosing day after day not to let the pain define who you're becoming. And intimacy isn't about flawless connection. It's instead about being seen, even in your messiness, even in your fear, and letting that connection remind you that you're more than your worst moments. So this series, The Bridge Back to Us, it's been about just that. Understanding the pain and the isolation and the deep hunger that fuels incel culture. Not to excuse it per se, but to illuminate it, to bring it out of the shadows, to show that at the heart of all this brokenness is this longingness for something profoundly human. And soon we'll be shifting focus, because understanding pain is only the first step. Healing requires far more. Growth requires far more in us. Our next series is going to be called Before You Touch Her, Touch Your Own Truth. It's a natural progression, if you will, from naming the wounds to nurturing the healing, from dissecting the patterns of isolation to building new patterns of connection. In this series, we'll dive deep into emotional literacy, integrity in relationships, the courage to be honest with yourself before you even try to connect with others. It's about creating the kind of love, the kind of intimacy that isn't performative or manipulative or hollow. It's about becoming whole before you ask someone else to hold you. And for those of you who have found these conversations stirring, something deeper is offered here. For those who recognize somewhere in these words that we're preparing something far more personal for you to walk through. And I'd like to offer a private community, a gifted and guided course, a space for those who are ready to take this work even further. And if there's any interest, I'd like to make that possible. A place where encouragement and growth and deeper transformation could be possible. Not just more content for you to consume, but also a journey to take together in community. Because the antidote to becoming the monster isn't hiding. It's being seen. It's reclaiming your dignity. It's finding a different story to tell yourself and living into that story with courage. If the fear of becoming the monster is real though, and it is, then the next question is even more important, and that is, what can you do about it? Because fear, left alone, festers. It turns inward and it becomes shame. And shame is not a motivator, it's more of a paralyzer. It keeps you trapped in the cycle of believing that you are beyond redemption, beyond healing, and beyond the reach of intimacy and connection. But that's the lie, and it's a powerful one. The truth is more demanding, and it's also more hopeful as well. The truth is that you are not powerless to choose who you can become. And even when your circumstances are brutal, even when connection feels impossibly out of reach, even when anger feels justified and loneliness feels permanent, well, you still have a choice in those moments. And this begins with awareness. The simple, searing moments of honesty where your name and what happens around you can be pronounced. Like, I don't like who I'm becoming, or I don't like what it feels like to live in bitterness anymore, or that naming that matters to be able to take away the power. It interrupts the drift. It punctures the illusion, if you will, that this descent is inevitable. But you see, awareness is not enough on its own. It has to be paired with action. And not just any action, intentional, values-aligned action. And this is where integrity comes in. Integrity means aligning your actions with your deepest values, even when it's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one else is watching. It means you're asking yourself, what kind of man do I want to become? What kind of legacy do I want to leave behind? How do I live in a way that honors my humanity and also the humanity of others that I'm in community with? And then living day by day into those answers. Not perfectly per se, not flawlessly, but intentionally. Because becoming the monster isn't about the catastrophic decision. It's about the 1,000 tiny compromises that we take, 1,000 silent surrenders to cynicism and to despair. And healing is the same. It's 1,000 small choices towards something better. But integrity alone isn't enough either, because integrity without intimacy becomes this lonely and brittle righteousness. We're not meant to heal in isolation, though. We need to be seen. We need to be known. We need to be loved, not for the masks that we wear, but for the real imperfect selves that is underneath. And that's where intimacy changes everything. Intimacy says, you don't have to be perfect to be worthy for connection. It says your pain doesn't actually disqualify you, and your fear does not have to exile you. It says, come as you are and let yourself be seen. But intimacy requires risk, doesn't it? It demands vulnerability. And for men who are raised in a culture that equates vulnerability with weakness, that risk feels almost impossible. And that's why the next phase of our work together is so critical. So as we move into the upcoming series, before you touch your own truth, I'm going to tackle these barriers head on. So we're going to be talking about how to build emotional literacy when no one has ever taught you the language, for example. We're going to talk about how to cultivate real intimacy without losing yourself in the process, and how to lead with integrity in a world that rewards shallow victories. And then we're also going to move from analysis to action as well, from understanding to transformation. And for those of you who are ready to go even deeper, the course and private community that will be there, if you want it, will be something that I'd like to invest in. Not as a quick fix and not as a magic solution, but as a space where real growth happens, slowly, sustainably, together. Because becoming the monster is not inevitable, but becoming whole is possible. And it's work that is worth doing. The fear of becoming a monster doesn't just sit quietly in the back of your mind. It shapes you, often in ways that you don't really realize. It makes you pull back, if you will, from the opportunities for connection, because you're just afraid that you'll ask someone and you might hurt them in the process. It makes you almost second guess your acts of vulnerability because you believe that no one would ever want the real you. And it keeps you locked in these cycles of self-sabotage because deep down you think you don't deserve anything better. And this is how fear quietly becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You fear becoming the monster, and so you isolate yourself. You fear hurting others, and so you hurt yourself. You fear rejection, and so you reject yourself first. And over time, that withdrawal, that defensiveness, that self-condemnation calcifies. It becomes a part of your identity until one day you look around and realize that you've become a stranger to yourself. But it doesn't have to end there, does it? Because identity is not a prison. Identity is a process. Who you are is not fixed. It's fluid. It's shaped by the choices that you make every single day. And if you can choose to retreat and maybe to armor up, to turn away from intimacy, you can also choose then to lean in and to open up and to reach out. The antidote to becoming a monster is not perfection, it's connection. It's this slow, steady work of reclaiming your humanity, not through grand gestures, but through small daily acts of courage. Reaching out for help, even when it feels vulnerable, right? Being honest about your struggles, even when it feels shameful. Choosing to see the good in yourself, even when the world hasn't done so yet. This is not easy work, but it's possible work. And it's the work that we'll be diving into when we go into the Before You Touch Your Own Truth series. Because you can't offer you can't offer real intimacy to someone else if you're still hiding from it yourself. You can't build connection that's based on honesty if you're living in self-deception. You can't touch someone's heart if you've walled off your own. So like I said, this next series is about learning to dismantle those walls, to meet yourself with compassion, with courage, with clarity, to stop running from the fear and to start running toward the man that you're capable of becoming. And if you're ready for more than just listening, if you're ready for guidance and for community, for real accountability, this course and private community are being built with you in mind. And this isn't like the self-help kind of stuff. This is about integrity, about intimacy, about doing the hard and unglamorous work of becoming someone that you can be proud of. And if enough of you raise your hand and say, yes, I'm ready for this kind of work, then I would love to invest myself in preparing that. Because the journey from isolation to connection is not one that you have to walk alone. you are not destined to become a monster. You're not doomed to be trapped by your pain, and you're not irredeemable, but you are responsible for who you choose to become. And the work of becoming starts here, like it starts now. Should you make that choice for yourself? You do have that choice. I can't make that choice for you. Maybe no one ever told you this, and maybe your life has been made to feel like you're trapped in it, like you don't have any options, like you're at the mercy of the circumstances, of your loneliness and your anger. But the truth is this, you do have a choice. I want to empower you to know that this choice is in your hands. You can choose to keep withdrawing and keep numbing and keep hardening yourself against a world that has wounded you, or you can choose to do the harder and braver thing, and that's to turn back toward yourself with honesty, with compassion, and you can choose integrity, not as a performance per se, but as this quiet daily alignment between your values and your actions. And you can choose intimacy, not as a transaction, but as a courageous offering of your real self, flaws and all, to others who are trying to do the same. And yes, the work is hard. Yes, it is slow work. Yes, it will ask more of you than bitterness ever will. But what you get in return is something that bitterness can never give you, and that is peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing that even if the world never fully sees you and the work that you're doing, you know who you are, and you stand in solidarity with yourself. And that kind of peace, that kind of grounded, unshakable dignity, no amount of rejection can ever take away. This is where the Bridge Back to Us series leaves you. Not at the end per se, but at the threshold, if you will. So if you've spent time understanding the pain with me, the isolation, the hunger, the heartbreak that fuels this incel experience, if you've looked honestly at the way that pain can twist something darker if it's left unchecked, then come join me in this next series. Because now it's time for us to move forward. Before you touch your own truth is this next step. And in that series next month, we'll take everything that we've uncovered here, and we're going to turn that toward building something better. Learning how to touch your own heart before reaching for someone else's. Learning how to confront your own lies before offering to offer truth to a partner. Learning how to live with integrity and love, especially with intimacy, not because you're perfect, but because you're being real. And that's what real connection requires. That's what authenticity demands. And for those of you who want to even go deeper, who are ready not just to listen, but to live this private course and community are in the works. And like I said, if there's enough interest, I'd love to open those doors and invite you in. And it'll be a place where you can walk this path alongside others who are also done with the hiding, done with numbing, done with fearing the monster, and who are ready to become the man that they want to be. So if that resonates with you, and you feel that stirring that says, maybe I'm ready for this, let me know. Let me know in the comments, because healing happens in motion, and growth happens in community, and becoming happens one brave step at a time. You are not your past, and you are not your pain. You are not the monster that you feared who's telling you that this is your inevitable future. You are a work in progress. You are a bridge back to yourself. And you are still worthy of being seen and known and loved. This next part of the journey is waiting, and it starts with a single, quiet choice. Who will you become? I can't wait to see you. I hope to see you soon.